Hey, Tony here. So today I'm going to go over all of the films that I watched during the month of March. I was able to see quite a bit in the theater. I watched a few streaming movies that I didn't have in the collection based off of some recommendations that people asked me to check out. And then a lot of these I did watch from my own collection. I will be using my Letterboxd account if you'd like to follow along with me. I do have that link down below. You can see what my ranking is and if I liked it or not. But this is going to be pretty much just a brief overview of the films that I watched, not a really in-depth study of what I thought about each one. Now, I have been a little bit under the weather lately, so my voice is a little bit weak, so I do apologize. Hopefully it won't be too distracting. Okay, first up, I watched Adrift. I had been wanting to watch this one. I heard that it was based off of actual events, so I wanted to check it out. I really enjoyed it. I gave it 2 stars and a heart. Overall, I thought the performances were really good. I enjoyed most of the film. There was parts of it I thought were a little bit slow and draggy. Some of the acting probably wasn't the best. But overall, I really enjoyed the story, and I thought it had a really good ending. And that would be one that I would recommend people check out. Okay, next up, I watched a movie called Velvet Buzzsaw. I don't remember anything whatsoever about this film. I did give it 1/2 star. So looking at my little mini review on Letterboxd, I think someone had recommended that I check this one out. It does have a pretty good cast in it, but I did not care for this film at all. Like I said, it's very forgettable because I don't really remember much about it. The next film I watched is one called Headshot, and I gave this one 2.5 stars and a heart. I really enjoyed it. It had some really good fight sequences in it, but it looks like I did enjoy this one. I don't really remember much about it. This right here was another recommendation, but yeah, I gave it a heart, so that's one that I will probably try to revisit. Okay, next up I watched The Infiltrator. I gave this one 3 stars and a heart. I really enjoyed this story. It's based off of actual events, I do believe. And I thought it had some really great performances. I enjoyed these type of films, and this is one I would definitely recommend that you check out. Okay, next up I watched Wolf Cop and Another Wolf Cop. I've been wanting to see these for a while. Didn't really know much about them. I knew that they were just kind of goofy Wolfman type movies. Wolf Cop I gave 2 stars and a heart, and Another Wolf Cop I gave 2 stars and a heart. Both films had a lot of similarities to them. Of course, one's a sequel, but I thought there was a lot of fun scenes in both of these. There was one character in particular I thought was pretty hilarious. Really enjoyed these. I would highly recommend people check these out. Okay, next up I watched The Passenger. This right here was one that was recommended that I check out. I gave it 2 stars and a heart. There were parts of it that I really enjoyed. It did feel kind of low budget. Some of the story was good. Some of the story was not so good. There were parts of it I would have picked out, maybe redone. But overall, I thought it was a pretty good film. Okay, next up, I watched Heretic. This is one that I wanted to see in the theater, just never got around to seeing it. I really enjoyed this one. This was 2.5 stars and a heart. Thought it had some really good performances. It did kind of drag on a bit too much for me, but overall I enjoyed it. I'm very happy to have that one in the collection. Okay, next up was Panic Room. This was the first time I had seen this in many years since it was first released. This one actually got 5 stars and a heart. I really enjoyed this film. I enjoyed Jodie Foster, so I thought that was great. I didn't remember very much about the film from the first time that I watched it, and just overall I just loved it. I thought it was great. Very happy that we finally got this one on 4K, and very happy to have that one in my collection. I highly recommend you check it out if you've never seen it. Okay, next up I watched Project Silence. I gave this one 2 stars and a heart. Overall, it was kind of a strange movie, but I did like aspects of it. I thought it had some good parts to it. 2 stars is probably a pretty accurate ranking for me. The Heart, I don't know that I'm going to want to revisit this one, but I gave it a heart probably because of some of the story, but it's not one that I'll be going back to anytime soon. Okay, next up I watched Come True. This one got 1 star, no heart. I did not like this film at all. I would not recommend anybody check it out. So that's an easy pass for me. Next up I watched Mickey 17. I saw that one in the theater, of course. Was really looking forward to it. There's a lot of it that I liked, but there's some of it that I didn't care much for. But I gave it 2.5 stars and a heart. It's one that I will definitely want to revisit again. I thought Robert Pattinson did a great job with this character. Some of the story I didn't care much for, but very happy that I was able to see that one in the theater. Okay, next up I watched The Stalking Moon. This one I gave 2.5 stars and a heart. Really enjoyed this one. This was a first time watch for me. I had never seen it before, but I really enjoyed the story. Thought Gregory Peck did a great job. It's a really good Western, and if you like Westerns, this is one that you should definitely check out. Okay, next up I watched Venom: The Last Dance. This right here got 2.5 stars and a heart. I did enjoy it for what it was. It wasn't as good as the first 2. I really enjoyed the first Venom the most. The second one, not as much, and this one, not as much. But I did enjoy most of the film. I wish they could have ended this little series on a bit of a higher note. But still, it was an enjoyable watch, and I'm glad that I was able to see that one. Next up, I watched Kraven the Hunter. This is another one that I wanted to see in the theater, but never got around to seeing it. It was getting a lot of bad reviews, so I wasn't really in a big hurry to see it. But I did enjoy it for what it was. I gave it 2 stars and a heart. And it is one that I thought was done pretty well. I wish that they could have really expanded the story a little bit more. But overall, I really enjoyed it. Okay, next up, I watched Saturday Night. Gave this one 2 stars and a heart. This is another one that I wanted to see in the theater. This is one that I was really looking forward to. I thought they did a great job of reenacting the what it took to put the first episode of Saturday Night Live on air. I thought it was really good. I enjoyed it. Gave it 2 stars and a heart. After that, I watched this SNL 50 anniversary special. I wanted to kind of just see more of the Saturday Night Live stuff. I grew up watching Saturday Night Live in the late 70s and the early 80s, and I've watched it throughout my my lifetime. So I enjoyed most of what Saturday Night Live has to bring. But the special was good. It had some really good clips in it. I gave it 1 star. I thought it was enjoyable. If you like Saturday Night Live, it would be something that would be worth your watch. Okay, next up I watched SWAT. I gave it 2.5 stars and a heart. This is another one that I wanted to see that I haven't seen. Really enjoyed the story. I thought it had some really good scenes. Just a really good cop film. I had a lot of fun with it, and I'm very happy that I was able to finally watch it. Okay, next up I watched Gunfight at the OK Corral. This right here was a first time watch for me. I really enjoyed this one. Burt Lancaster and Kirk Douglas gave great performances. So I watched that one. I gave it 3 stars and a heart. I really enjoyed it. And so what I wanted to do during this time frame was watch more of these films based off of the same kind of story. The story of Tombstone and the Earp brothers. So I watched Gunfight at the OK Corral, and then next I watched Hour of the Gun. So this right here was a recommendation that I checked this one out. I had never really heard of it. It's got James Garner in it, and still playing of the same story of Wyatt Earp. Really enjoyed this one. I gave this one 3 stars and a heart. Very enjoyable watch. If you've never seen this one, I would highly recommend you check it out. And then lastly, I watched Tombstone again. I hadn't seen this one in a couple of years, but I wanted to see this. And so this right here was the third of the Tombstone type films that I watched. Someone made me this slipcover and sent it to me, so That's the reason why it has a weird looking slip on it. But Tombstone's great. I gave Tombstone 4.5 stars and a heart. I've always enjoyed this film and very happy to have that one in the collection. And I'm very happy to be looking forward to that one coming out in 4K. Then the last of the Wyatt Earp films I watched was Wyatt Earp with Kevin Costner. Another great film. This was the first time watch for me. I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars and a heart. Very, very, very long film, but definitely worth the watch. If you've never seen it, definitely check it out. Really enjoyed it. Okay, next up, I watched Snowpiercer. This was a second time watch for me. I gave it 2.5 stars and a heart. Overall, I enjoyed the film. I wish that there would have been more to the story other than what it was. It was kind of lacking part of the story to me. But I still enjoyed it. It's not my favorite, but it's not terrible. Okay, next up, I went to the theater and I saw Snow White. I wanted to check it out. I know a lot of people were giving it low scores or weren't even going to see it for whatever reason. I think there was something political involved. I don't really get into any of that stuff. But I wanted to see it on the big screen. I pretty much enjoyed most of the Disney live action remakes, so I wanted to see how they were going to do Snow White. So I went to the theater and saw it. I gave it 2 stars and a heart. It was not terrible. I kind of like what they did, as far as making it different. But overall, I was happy to have seen it on the big screen in IMAX, and that's one that I will definitely be adding to the collection. Okay, next I watched Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. I wanted to revisit this one. I hadn't seen this one in a long time, and after seeing Snow White, I kind of wanted to see what the differences were between the two films. This is not my favorite Disney animated film, but I do enjoy it and I do appreciate it, and I give it 3 stars and a heart. Okay, next up, I watched A Million Little Pieces. I gave it 2 stars and a heart. This right here was another recommendation. This is a film based off. I think, based off of a book, and tells the story of a drug addict. Overall, I thought it had some really good performances in it. The story was good. I kind of wish that I would have gotten a little bit more backstory about this person. What drove him to drug addiction. But overall, I'm glad I saw it. Okay, next up, I went to the theater and saw Novocaine. I really enjoyed Novocaine. Thought it was a lot of fun. I gave it 3 stars and a heart. Very happy that I was able to see that one on the big screen, and definitely looking forward to getting that one on physical media. Okay, next up, another recommendation. I watched Marantau. This one I gave 2 stars and a heart. This was another recommendation. Overall, the story was pretty good. It had some slow moments to it, but I really enjoyed the characters, enjoyed the fight scenes. I like the way that they ended the film. If you've never seen Marantau from 2009, I would highly recommend that you check it out. So I'm very happy that I was able to see that one. Okay, next up, I watched Azrael. This is one that came out a month or so ago. I never got around to watching it, and I wanted to check it out. Pretty interesting story. I gave it 2 stars and a heart. This was one that has some... is about a post-rapture type story, and these people don't speak. There's no really dialogue in the film. There were some things that happened that I kind of questioned. I didn't really understand. But overall, I thought it was a really good film. I enjoyed it, and would recommend that you check this one out. Samara Weaving gave a great performance in this, as she always does. So this was perfect for her. Okay, next up, I watched The Lion King, the live action version. I wanted to check this one out again. The last time I saw this one was when it was released in the theater. I enjoyed it. This one right here gets 3 stars and a heart. I thought Disney did a great job as far as the story. It's pretty much a one-on-one remake of the animated film, which to me was unnecessary. But it was nice to see these animals kind of brought to life. And so I wanted to check this one out. Like I said, I gave it 3 stars and a heart. I wanted to check this one out before I saw Mufasa, The Lion King. And so I watched this one, and then I watched Mufasa, The Lion King. Again, a great story. I gave it 3 stars and a heart. I enjoyed what they did as far as telling the story of Mufasa. It's nice to kind of get a backstory of a film that you loved. And just overall, I really enjoyed that film. So those are all of the films that I watched during the month of March. Please leave me a comment below. Let me know what you think about the titles that I watched. And also give me some recommendations of titles that you think I should check out here during the month of April. But thanks for taking the time to watch this video, and we will see you next time.